Hello everyone, I'm Land-Based Magic, and I'm here to share with you a tutorial on how to use this free-to-use oracle deck called the Red River Resistance Oracle Deck. The link is in my bio or in the video description, and I don't benefit anything from it, so you're welcome to use it as you wish. And it can be printed, it can be used as a PDF, or just, you can view the images through your digital device, your phone, and you can use it that way if you wish. So I'm going to start off by explaining who Louis Riel was. So Louis Riel is a Métis leader and hero, and Canada tried to do some reconciliation for treating Louis Riel as a traitor and taking Louis Riel's life. And I can't say how through this video, but yeah, Canada wasn't so innocent in many ways. Canada treated the Indigenous people that were here on the land first as squatters, and that was exactly the term that they used at that time. And they were purposely trying to steal the land from the Métis community. And imagine if you have your own house, your own property, and all of a sudden somebody says, hey, this is not yours anymore, this belongs to a settler. Yeah, you wouldn't be too happy about that, because that means you have to move and keep moving because Canada kept expanding their territory. And this was an unlawful way of obtaining land, and so that's why the Métis fought back. And that's the importance of Louis Riel, is that they actually led the Red River Resistance and the Northwest Resistance against Canada. So Louis Riel led the Métis to defend their land rights and their rights as a distinct people. So if you don't know who the Métis are, the Métis is being with their own distinct Indigenous ancestry. And the reason why we don't call it a rebellion is because Canada wasn't the official government of Indigenous people, so it can't be a rebellion against their own government. It was actually a resistance because they were resisting their expansion on their land. So the purpose of this deck is to help you gain abilities, like spiritual abilities such as psychic abilities, your communication with spirits, your accuracy in your abilities. Just so you know, don't expect something right away with this deck. Although the spirits can hear you when you're calling upon them, it doesn't mean something's going to happen right away. And this isn't because they aren't working with you. It's just because, like psychic abilities is like art. So when you start off in art, you're not going to be that talented. It's not going to look that great, but the more you practice it, the more better your art becomes, just like psychic abilities. Eventually, the more you practice with this deck, the more accurate you will become, and the more you'll start discovering facts through spirits rather than just Googling it online. I mean, what I do is when I receive a fact from spirit, I will Google it online afterwards and find out that sure enough that is an actual fact. So the purpose of this deck is really there for you to develop these abilities, and how you use the cards is based on what you want to work on first. So most likely I highly recommend using Paul's card first, because that one teaches you about how to hear spirits and allows you to hear spirits. And this is kind of important because there's certain cards where you need to actually hear spirits in order to use them, such as the Louis Riel card, because Louis Riel teaches about hoodoo and voodoo. And you probably think that's a little bit weird that Louis Riel would be associated with hoodoo and voodoo, but before you judge, voodoo originates from Africa, and it was white men who tried to colonize Africa and who did many horrific things to the people in Africa that deemed voodoo as evil. And it's not evil. Louis Riel actually taught me that voodoo and hoodoo can be used with good intentions also. So what I mean by that is you can manifest positive things into people's lives or your own through voodoo and hoodoo. And it was actually racism that deemed voodoo and hoodoo as evil because it originated from Africa. And at the time, there was heavy racism towards Africans. So I want to talk about a little bit of Louis Riel's spirit. And some of you might think that's a little bit weird that you can talk to Louis Riel's spirit, but in my 6 to 7 year journey speaking with spirits, I've learned so many incredible things through spirits, and eventually started realizing that the spirit world is real. So after we die, we join the afterlife. Okay, we are a spirit. Your spirit is actually attached to your body, and your body and your soul works together. But once you die, that soul becomes separated from your body, and you now have an afterlife. And, some of you might be wondering, are spirits real? I have a few stories that I wish to share with you before I dive deep into this deck. My grandmother actually had a paranormal experience when she was a child. She was above the stairs, and a shadowy figure pushed her down the stairs, and she actually cracked open her skull and developed post-traumatic stress disorder from that experience because it was a horrific experience. Somebody was trying to harm her. And, of course, she survived because I'm still here. But yeah, that was one of the paranormal experiences that my family member had. She's also had more. And I personally have had a negative experience with some spirits. Eventually, during my 6 years of battling with this negative spirit, I was finally able to banish it. So I'm a strong believer in the paranormal, and I don't know if you are, but that's what this deck is for you to communicate with these spirits and for you to develop your abilities. So the thing that I like about Louis Riel's spirit is that while I was at the hospital for about 2 to 3 months, honestly, it's a blur. When you're at the hospital for that long, you can't count the days at a certain point. But Louis Riel's spirit was very kind and devoted. They would greet me every morning, ask how I was doing. While I was at the hospital, they were very kind in that regard, so I thank them. And I learned lots through Louis Riel. I've learned that Louis Riel, when we first met, we kind of clashed at first. And this was because we both were suffering from PTSD. And when you have PTSD, sometimes you do face conflict with others because you have that anger from a traumatic experience. And so we kind of clashed at first, but then we started developing this wholesome friendship, and Louis Riel's PTSD stems from the betrayal from Canada, from being, there's no nice way to say it, but like, Louis Riel died by the hands of the Canadian government and by the British monarchy. And so Louis Riel was facing PTSD from that and from all the battles that they fought in. So that's why we clashed at first, and I started understanding more of their perspective about why we were clashing. And it's really just because we were both angry people from our traumatic experiences. So the next card I'm going to talk about is Poundmaker's card. Although I cannot pronounce their actual name, and I'm not even going to attempt it because I don't know anyone who can pronounce Poundmaker's true name, but the short name is Poundmaker, and Poundmaker's spirit teaches about channeling through you. So they channel different perspectives into you. Like, what is the female perspective of how they view certain things? What is the queer's perspective of how they view things? What about somebody from a different part of the world's perspective on things, such as somebody from India? So they channel those perspectives into you. If you're interested in using that card, I use it quite a lot because I always learn something valuable from different perspectives. Of course, we learn things from different perspectives. We learn maybe the certain thoughts are colonized, and learning the Indigenous perspective on things teaches us, maybe we shouldn't think like that, or maybe we shouldn't say certain things. But that's the importance of this channeling card, is it teaches you perspectives on how you should view the world, how you should view certain things, and makes you realize, like, what is the general overview of how a female might view a certain situation or a certain view or a certain opinion. So it really develops your thinking abilities. Now we're going to move on to Gabriel Dumont's card. Now, Gabriel Dumont, I've known the spirit for the past, I want to say 2 months. It hasn't been long compared to Louis Riel. Louis Riel has been, I've been communicating with them for about, 6-7 months. With Gabriel Dumont, they're a bit newer. And with Gabriel Dumont, I find that they have a very big heart. They're very kind. They have a good outlook on certain things. And what Gabriel Dumont teaches you, or what they inform you of, are spiritual signs. So say you feel connected to seeing an eagle, for example. I'm just using an example. You can ask Gabriel Dumont, like, is this a sign? If so, what does it mean? And they will tell you what it means. And see, this is kind of what I mean by you having to use Paul's card that teaches about hearing spirits, because really to only use, you can even use Jean's card, which shows you visions. The importance of those two cards is so that you can hear and see what Gabriel Dumont is trying to communicate to you with. So I really like Big Bear's card. So Big Bear teaches about the wisdom from wildlife. And it could be anything in the wild, such as an animal, an insect, the forest, the river. Everything has wisdom, and everything has spirit. Everything has a soul. And so what Big Bear teaches is wisdom. They'll pass on wisdom to you that is from the perspective of the creature that you're trying to ask about. So say you want to learn the tiger's perspective, or you want a teaching from a tiger. That's where Big Bear comes in to give you that perspective from that animal, or from that creature, or from the forest, for example. Now, Wandering Spirit is a fun card because they teach about manifestation. And Wandering Spirit prefers if you use manifestation for others. So this can be a friend, a family member, somebody random that you're manifesting for, or even somebody from around the world. You can actually manifest from around the globe. And it's, now, the thing about manifestation, from as far as what I've known, it has taken me about 6 to 7 years to actually start manifesting certain things into my life. And so keep that in mind, that this card takes a lot of practice. You must practice with this card pretty much daily if you are hoping to manifest certain things into yours or other people's lives. Now, Louis Riel's card is very interesting. So she teaches about she teaches about various things about how to protect your space, how to cleanse your space, and she can do it for you, or she can teach you how to do it yourself. So she can teach witchcraft because, for example, the best protection that I've had from that negative spirit I was talking about earlier was really black salt mixed in with banishing oil. That was the best protection I've ever had compared to holy water. Like, holy water just didn't cut it, but when I used witch's black salt mixed in with banishing oil, it worked tremendously. And so she does teach various ways of how to protect your space and how to cleanse it. She's also somebody that's very kind. She actually, as a little bit of a background, she opened up to me about having PTSD from, that's post-traumatic stress disorder, from trying to, like, protect Louis Riel and worrying about Louis Riel, because they actually, I can't talk about it in this video, but they actually were trying to murder Louis Riel while they were in the community. The Northwest Mounted Police were carrying certain things so that they could manhunt for Louis Riel and murder him. So that caused Louis Riel a lot of anxiety, a lot of paranoia, and PTSD. So Marguerite is Louis Riel's first love, and she teaches about, she guides you on your spiritual path. She also tells you what your spiritual path is, what's on your spiritual path. So if you have questions about what should I be doing right now? What should I be doing on my spiritual path? She will tell you. And she actually informed me that part of my spiritual path is, well, it's quite personal, so I don't know if I want to share it, but like, it's to actually serve the Canadian Armed Forces. And that's something that I've been wanting to do since high school. And she actually informed me that that's part of my path, is to serve the Canadian Armed Forces. So don't expect like certain answers of what your spiritual path is. Some of it that she provides you is going to be challenging for you. Like, for example, joining the Canadian Armed Forces is a pretty big decision, and it's a pretty challenging decision if you want to get into it. But so that's what Marguerite teaches you, is facing your fears on your spiritual path and guiding you on it. So Louis Riel Sr. is Louis Riel's father, and their card is interesting because they teach about history. And again, you have to have the ability to hear spirits or see visions in order to pick up what Louis Riel Sr. is trying to communicate to you with. So what they teach is about the true history of a certain part of history. So what I mean by that is I actually have a book from the National Geographic, and I found that there was actually a lot of incorrect information in it, because most history that's recorded was actually done by conquerors. And when it's done by conquerors, they don't have the perspective of the other group that they actually conquered. So the same goes for colonizers, just like the story of Pocahontas. We only know the colonizers' perspective of the story of Pocahontas, but Powhatan tribe, or the Powhatan Nation, actually has the true story that's been passed down through oral tradition, through historians, on the true story of Pocahontas. So they actually have the true version of Pocahontas compared to the colonizers, compared to John Rolfe's story. So this is what I mean, is that history sometimes isn't accurate. And so what Louis Riel Sr. teaches is the truth. The next card is actually quite essential. It's Charles, who teaches about energy reading. Now, energy reading is essential because it actually keeps you safe and protected. I can't tell you how many times I've witnessed somebody who thinks they're talking to their spirit guide and they're actually talking to a negative spirit who's tricking them and feeding them false information. And so the point of energy reading is so that you can identify the energy of the spirit. So in other words, you're identifying the spirit. And that's what Charles teaches you, is how to identify spirits. So for example, if you want to call on a loved one, you can call upon them and remember their energy, what it feels like, because every spirit has a different energy. Like, because they have different personalities, they have different personality traits, they have a different history. So each spirit has their own energy. And if you practice with a loved one's energy and then a different spirit's energy, you'll learn to recognize who's who. And that's the importance of energy reading. You don't want to accidentally be communicating with the wrong spirit. Okay, the next one is Pierre's card that passes along messages from your spirit guides. They also will identify who your spirit guides are. So keep in mind, it could be anything. It could be a person, it could be an animal, it can be a creature, it can be a forest, it can be anything. So keep your mind open, be open-minded about who your spirit guides are. The best way to become accurate as a psychic medium is never judge. Clear your mind of all judgments, because ego and judgments will get in the way of the answers that the spirits are trying to convey to you. Never sway an answer to something because that's the answer you'll hear. Because spirits communicate through energy to you. So sometimes you can manipulate that energy into a different answer. So just be mindful of that. Now, Thomas is an interesting card, and this one takes a lot of practice. So they teach about spirit writing. And what I mean by that is you take a piece of paper, pen or pencil, and you let the spirit channel through you to write certain messages on that piece of paper. Now, channeling takes quite a bit of practice of mastering, and I wouldn't say that you can master an ability. I think it's endless in terms of how you learn an ability, how you evolve it, stuff like that. So that's what Thomas does, is channel through you to write messages from your spirit guides, loved ones, friends, whoever you ask for, or even from Thomas themselves. Now, Francois teaches about your psychic abilities. So they have certain techniques, practices in mind of how to train you on how to develop your psychic abilities. One is actually the 2-card trick that I do. So you find an oracle deck, or you can use a regular card deck, and you choose 2 very contrasting colors. So one card could be yellow, the other card could be dark blue. And what you do is you shuffle them with your eyes closed, and then you lay them in front of you still with your eyes closed, and you'd either rely on hearing spirit to tell you which one is the yellow card or which one's the dark blue card and on which side it's on. So for example, I might ask my spirit guide of where the yellow card is, and they'll say on the right, and I'll check and I'll mark down that I got that one right. If I got it wrong, then I mark down that I've got it wrong. So I tally it. And you'll find that at a certain level, when you have developed these abilities quite a bit, you'll find that you'll have more right answers than wrong. But when you start off, just expect it to be fairly balanced or wrong. So just keep that in mind. So, you know, that's how Francois can help you, is doing that 2-card trick. They can tell you it's on the left or on the right, for example. Ambroy is a fun card because I'm an actual witch. And so what Ambroy teaches is everything to do with witchcraft. So if you have a question about, hey, this wax is melting in a certain way while I'm doing candle magic, what does it mean? Ambroy will tell you. And Ambroy will tell you how to properly use a candle in candle magic. So they're quite useful in terms of that practice. And before you judge, witchcraft is not evil. Like, the paranormal has told me many times that it's not evil and you can practice it. If you're a Christian or Catholic, you know, God likes diversity, the Creator likes diversity on our planet. They like different views, different beliefs, because it keeps our planet diverse. They don't like it when people assimilate. And so just keep that in mind, that if you're uncomfortable with witchcraft, it's probably because you have religious trauma. So Jean teaches you or passes visions onto you. So if you have a question, or you want Jean to tell you a story through visions, they will do it for you. So if you have a question like, you know, what does my future look like ahead of me in 10 years? They will share with you a vision of what it should be. And you can use Marguerite to guide you on that, to achieve that goal in the future. So that's what Jean does. Now, Thomas Spence, I actually use that card quite a lot because they are the fact checker. And as a fact checker, I have so many questions and I need a yes or no response, or I need like, hey, when did this happen? And Thomas will give me the answer. So they're the fact checker. So if you have a yes or no question or a specific question about something and you need a number, they will provide that to you. I actually use this card quite a lot compared to other cards. But yeah, that's what Thomas does, and Thomas will use their abilities and look into history to make sure that they're providing you with the right answer. Now, Pierre is a fun one. Pierre, I've actually known Pierre in a funny way. They're quite sassy, and it's quite funny, but it's our sense of humor together, so it works. But Pierre teaches about fortune telling, and with fortune telling, they that means when you use a crystal ball, it can be like this size, by the way. You don't need an expensive crystal ball. You actually just need a small one, if that's what you can afford. And they will tell you everything to do with fortune telling. So even when you're using oracle cards or tarot, they will assist with that for you. And yeah. So John Bruce is a fun one because they actually teach you how to see auras. Some auras look different per person to person. So sometimes you'll see an aura as an orb. So that, say it's an emotion like anxiety, then for me it will show as light blue. And if I see like a pink or red orb, that usually means that they're flirty or romantic, that kind of thing. But if you're looking to see the aura around a person, that's what they teach and that's what they aid with. It takes a lot of practice to see auras. I still can't see them, but I see them as orbs. Or if I see a spirit, I'll see the aura in the specific place that they're feeling the emotion. So for anxiety, I might see a light blue aura in their chest, because that's where they're having anxiety. Now, William's a very challenging card. I would suggest practicing with the other cards before using William's card. I've known William to have a very unique perspective, just because he technically betrayed the Métis, but in the spirit world, he's been forgiven and they have moved on from the past. It wasn't anything huge. It was just something minor, and they've long forgiven him a long time ago. And so Will has this unique perspective of what it's like to be somebody who's not a villain, but you know what I mean. And I really like William. William has a sense of humor, and he also teaches about astral projection. And with astral projection, it's a very, very challenging ability because you must psychically look into your mind's eye and see the things around the specific person that you're wondering about, or a specific place. Like, say you're like, what's in that house? Well, you might astral project there, and see some of the belongings in there. So a good practice is practicing with a friend on, hey, what's around you? I'm gonna astral project there to find out. And start off with 2 items. I use the 2 rule. So say your friend is holding an angel or is holding a crystal. You have to astral to see what item is around them, whether it's the angel or the crystal, and keep practicing that until you get most of the answers right. That's how you know that you're really developing your astral projection abilities. So Francois teaches about seeing spirits. So if you're having a challenging time trying to see the spirits, they will show you how to see spirits, and they will manifest the spirits around you so that you can see them. And this might take time. This might take daily practice with the card. It might even take a year before you actually start seeing spirits, but most likely if you're working on it daily, it's going to require less time before you start seeing spirits. And keep in mind that people see spirits differently. Some people see them as orbs, like myself. Some see them as an outline of the individual, like myself. In rare cases, if you can master this, where you can see a full body apparition, like the full details of the person's face, clothes, everything, then congrats. Like, that's very hard to do, and I've experienced that, but on rare occasions. Okay, so Bob. Bob is actually one of my main spirit guides, along with Louis Riel. And with Bob, if you have trauma or mental health, they will support you through it. So one way that they support you is, if you're thinking negatively a lot, they might rewire your thoughts to think more positively, because that actually does impact your mental health if you think more negatively versus more positively. It's actually rewiring your thoughts into positive thinking is actually part of the road to well-being. So they love supporting people through those troubled times. And the good thing about Bob is that you can call on them on any time, especially when you're going through a crisis, and they will help you through it. And their time is endless, so don't worry about taking up their time. Same with the other spirits of this card. Don't worry about taking their time. If you're worried, just ask them, like, is it now an okay time to chat? And they will tell you. If not, then tell them, hey, is tomorrow at this time okay? And then they'll either agree or disagree. So that's what you can do. Now, Paul Prue, I have mentioned quite a lot, or quite a few times throughout this video, and their main goal is to help you hear spirit voices, whether that's through your mind's eye, or not mind's eye, but through your mind, or whether it's actually physical, like you can hear them out on the exterior side of things. So hearing spirits is an essential ability if you want to use certain cards of this deck. It's changed my life, hearing spirits, because they share stories and perspectives and history on certain things. So you learn from history, right? You learn from different people's perspectives. You become a better person because you're hearing different perspectives. So that's the importance of Paul. The final card are Métis soldiers that have fought in the Northwest Resistance. So in this particular photo, these were actual prisoners by the Canadian government. They were Métis soldiers who fought in the Northwest Resistance, most likely Batoche. And what they teach is about the medicine wheel. So if you have trauma, mental health, go to them and they will not judge you for anything. I found that the whole deck, all the spirits in this deck really did not judge. They stuck with me even through my most embarrassing, my most impulsive times. They did not judge me. They made sure to stick with me. This is a solid spirit team, because I've never seen a spirit team that's so devoted and dedicated into aiding you and supporting you. So, I highly recommend this deck to anyone. Again, it's free to use. I don't benefit anything from it. The link is in my bio or in the video description. You're welcome to use it. And finally, the last image that I'm showing you is the provisional government of Manitoba. And this is the back of the cards, just so you know. And I hope that this tutorial of how to use the cards, what the cards are for, has helped you. And I wish you luck on the use of these cards. Please let me know in the comments how much, what you've learned through the deck, how you're using them, which cards you're using, which cards you like, stuff like that. And yeah, the last thing is I offer I can't talk. I offer free spiritual coaching for those who reach out to me, those who are brave enough to reach out to me. I offer free spiritual coaching. You don't have to be Indigenous to utilize my services. They're still free. So if you're looking to amplify your abilities, Most of my students have actually developed their abilities a lot quicker than they would on their own. So if you're looking for some guidance, that's what I'm here for. So just DM me if you're interested in free spiritual coaching.